All about this one is cooking and presentation.
Okay.
So we're going to make a wonderful cheese souffle.
Oh.
So nice big cheese souffle, something that we can then
Lots
take
of
to the
lift.
table. Yeah,
Lots
fingers
of-
crossed.
Yeah.
And obviously we can serve it in the pan, on the table. Got a wonderful little chicory and apple salad to go with it. A meal in one. Wonderful.
A real sort of moment.
Indeed. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed. So we're going to start by just preparing the pan itself. So I've just rubbed a little bit of softened butter around to grease the pan, and then we're going to microplane some fine parmesan into it. And what that will do is just create a lovely crust on the outside of the souffle as it cooks. A little bit of flavour, of course, and it will stop the souffle from sticking to the pan. Okay, I'll just pop that to one side whilst we prepare the rest of the mix. So, whilst I get on with cooking this soup, could I ask, can you kindly grate me the cheese here? If you want to jump on that side. So on a fine grater, that would be wonderful.
Right. All of it?
Yeah, perfect. So we've got two types of cheese. There's a Gruyere, so slightly nutty, a little bit fruity in there. And then we've got some Parmesan, which obviously is very salty and delicious. Two cheeses work really well together, in my opinion. Whilst you're grating that up, in here we've got some butter, 40 grams of butter. We're going to melt the butter, add some flour, so we're going to make a roux. We're going to add some milk into it, a couple of teaspoons of Dijon mustard, and then 4 egg yolks.
Are you adding cold milk to your roux?
I do. You could warm it up. You could infuse it with onion.
Or bay?
Bay, cloves are delicious.
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg is another good one, of course. Yeah, and you can add all of that into there. Anything that works with cheese is absolutely delicious. You can even put some onion through this, some shallot, melt it down so that as it cooks, obviously that's going to go straight into the souffle as well. So again, a lovely versatile dish. The butter, we don't want to colour it, of course, and then in with 40 grams of flour. Mix that in with the butter, and we want to cook that out for a minute, just to sort of get rid of that raw flour flavour, just gently over a nice medium heat, not burning it, just nice and gentle later. So, in with a little splash of milk. And as you're adding the milk, you want to incorporate it so that the roux becomes sort of smooth at each stage before we add too much of it. Otherwise it does run the risk of it going lumpy. So in with the milk, so it becomes nice and smooth. You can use a whisk as well. For me, I like using a spoon because you get to sort of feel, sometimes with a whisk you miss a little bit on the bottom of the pan. Bit of both. So we've got 300 grams of milk here, so 40 flour and 40 butter and 300 grams of the milk. So this will start to soften out, smoothen out, sorry, and we need to allow it to cool just before we put the egg yolk in, otherwise it's going to be too hot. How's your souffle success record?
Not bad.
Not bad?
They don't look as spectacular as those that turn up on MasterChef and GBM, but they're tasty.
So while we're waiting for this soup, could you kindly just break some of these chicory leaves off of here? Just peel them back and they can drop into there. That's all good. Thank you.
Another underused and underrated vegetable, I think.
Yeah, lovely with the, to go against the cheese there, you've got that lovely bitterness. You dress it with a little bit of lemon and rapeseed oil. And then the apples in there as well, so you get that lovely bit of freshness. So,
Nice and blood orange at this time of year.
very much, yeah, really, really nice. Really nice. Okay, so all the milk's in there. Get that cooking back up and bring it back to a gentle simmer, nice and smooth. And the mix will become nice and thick. And that's the perfect base for the souffle. Would you kindly separate these eggs for me? We need the whites into there, please. And we'll get you a bowl for the yolks. So we've got four eggs, large. We're going to whisk up the 4 egg whites, and we'll keep the yolks to go in this mix. And we'll take that lovely meringue and mix that into here.
you no yolk and no yolk.
That's all right. Perfect. So the roux is nice and smooth. I'm just going to take that off the heat for a few minutes, allow it to cool down ever so slightly, and then we'll go in with the mustard and those lovely egg yolks, along with all that cheese, so it's become really, really nice and thick. Let's get these on the machine, slowly whisk it up. Just allow it to cool down. And a couple of generous teaspoons of Dijon mustard in there. Mix up through. And then while the mix is nice and warm, we're going to add the cheese to get all that incorporated. So we've got the white grated cheese. Absolutely perfect. Wonderful, thank you. So cheese in there. We'll come and add the egg yolks in 1 minute. Right, so we've got the egg whites that have come off the machine. Now I don't know if this is true, but I always start the machine off slow. Let those sort of bubbles create, so you end up with millions of little bubbles, and then turn it up so it's nice and fast. So you've got like lots of little building blocks inside the meringue that keep it nice and stable. I'm not sure if that actually works, but so far it's served me well.
I shall remember that.
So the cheese mix here, we've got, so that's the roux with the mustard and the cheese in there. We're going to add in the egg yolks to enrich in it. Mix those in, and then we're going to fold this into the egg whites. And beautiful, sharing dish. So the star of the show in the centre of the table. There we have it. You could add onion, as we said. What we've got to go in here is some chopped chives. Then we go into the mix. Beautiful fresh chives, just chopped through. I'm just going to mix that in, and then as the souffle bakes up, they're going to run through the middle of the souffle. Lots of flavour. And again, because they're fresh, got that lovely sort of light onion flavour running through. Perfect marriage to the cheese. We don't want to add them in too early, because it will sort of kill the freshness.
Yep.
So last minute. Right, we've got our wonderful egg white meringue. Mix that back in. Nice and firm, but not over whisked. And then we'll go in 2-3 parts. One just to soften the mix, and then we can fold in the others, really retaining that air.
I think you're right about the small bubbles. That is very, very frothy egg white.
We'll see.
But but quite firm.
Yeah.
I need to whisk my egg whites a bit more. But I do it with the balloon whisks though. I just have to rest the arm from time to time.
Indeed. I'm not a great baker. I stick to what I know. Right, there we go. And then the last of the egg white to go in.
It can be quite robust folding that in, can't you? You don't have to be unbelievably delicate.
I think so. I think as long as you've got a good meringue,
Yeah.
then it will hold up. And again, for me, I don't think it has to be entirely smooth. The odd little sort of amount of the meringue is absolutely fine. Versus sort of beating it so it's entirely smooth. But right, there we go, lovely. So you see the mix is lovely, nice and mixed in, absolutely perfect. So we've got our lined pan with the parmesan in it again, which is going to create that lovely crust on the outside. I'm going to go in with our mix. We're probably not going to need all of this. And pour it in nice and light till it's about 2/3 full. Okay. You could butter yourself a little ramekin, have a little tester on the side there so there's no waste. Absolutely perfect. And then on top of this, I'm going to take some more Parmesan. I'm going to grate this on. And then as this bakes up, you're going to get a lovely golden crust on top where the cheese is melted in. And again, from that seasoning, you're going to get that lovely toasted, nutty, salty cheese on top. Absolutely perfect. Now we're going to go into the oven, 190 for 10 minutes, and then we're going to drop it down to 170 for 20. Just reduce that golden, otherwise it could get too sort of dark on top. But that heat, and of course the wonderful pan with that even heat coming through, this is going to be brilliant.
Yeah, so you get the nice brown without it still being raw in the middle.
Indeed.
Cooking all the way through.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Right then, Sue. So the souffle has been in for 10 minutes at 190, 20 minutes at 170, risen up lovely, absolutely golden. All that Parmesan that we grated on top is now lovely and golden. Wonderful little crust. So I'm going to bring it out. We've got a very simple, delicious chicory, apple, a little bit of lemon zest in there, fresh lemon juice and a good amount of rapeseed oil. And we're going to bring this out.
Cannot wait to see this. It smells incredible.
So look at that, just wobbling.
My goodness, that is. Look at that wobble.
Absolutely perfect.
Let's
Let's open. Absolutely perfect. Lovely and light. You can see the chive in there, which is absolutely perfect. Lovely crust on top.